This Nurah Speaks replay is a tribute to a great man, Munir Muhammad. The enormity of his work will live on through his legacy. Brother Munir was one of the co-founders of CROE, the Coalition for Remembrance of Elijah Muhammad. CROE began over 34 years ago and was established to preserve the history of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in particular during a time when his work was being blotted from history. In his 34-plus years of labor, Brother Munir substantiated himself as the strongest proponent of Elijah Muhammad in America and throughout the world. His travels in search of those touched by Elijah Muhammad led him all across America, Europe, and Africa. Everywhere he traveled, he shared the legacy of Elijah Muhammad, who, as he saw, represented the complete salvation for the black man and black woman in America and throughout the world. Brother Munir single-handedly performed the work of many men. He was an archivist, a journalist, an investigative reporter, a facilitator, a radio host, a television host, a leading media figure, a husband, a father, and a successful businessman. On the set in CROE television studios, he interviewed prominent politicians, judges, notable civil rights figures, renowned actors and actresses, singers, songwriters, community organizers, senators and congressmen, religious leaders, celebrated authors, respected businessmen and businesswomen. Additionally, Brother Munir interviewed esteemed leaders of other nations and offered us a global perspective on world affairs. On this podcast, when I mention my own personal mentors who have pushed and encouraged me to begin this journey, Brother Munir was always one of my strongest supporters. It really is too difficult to capture the sum of Munir Muhammad in these brief few minutes, but I encourage all who listen to this replay to visit CROE's YouTube page and see for yourself. A link will be provided for you in the show notes. There are many, many men and women who we learn little to nothing about, but who have worked tirelessly in promotion of issues that benefit us. Brother Munir was one of those men whose work and impact has not only been national, but universal. I honor him. I honor his legacy, and it has been a personal privilege to know him and join him on his television shows remotely and in person on so many occasions. He will continue to be an example to be emulated in the work for the true liberation of our people. Now, please listen closely and enjoy this tribute replay of my interview with co-founder of the Coalition for Remembrance of Elijah Muhammad, Munir Muhammad. Nurah Speaks is a weekly podcast that tugs at the soul and consciousness of the Black community. With show topics such as youth empowerment, education, women's impact, and civic engagement, Nurah Speaks challenges the listener to not only join the movement, but be the movement. On the show, you'll learn from insightful guests who have demonstrated capacity in these fields and more, and I'm your host, Nurah Muhammad. Welcome to the show.
CROE is a labor of love that started nearly 32 years ago. And there was an idea to preserve history as I knew it at the time and remove so many of these myths and outright lies.
This episode of the Nurah Speaks podcast features Brother Munir Muhammad, who is the business manager and co-founder of CROE. CROE is the Coalition for the Remembrance of Elijah Muhammad. In this episode, you will hear references to the movie The Nation. The Nation is a movie depicting the history of the Nation of Islam. This interview was conducted at Camden County College in downtown Camden, New Jersey, where Brother Munir Muhammad and the film's writer and director, Junie Smith, attended the film showing with a question and answer period. Brother Munir Muhammad is not only the chief archivist and historian of the Nation of Islam, he is also a friend and confidant of Minister Louis Farrakhan. In this episode, Brother Munir discusses not only what he sees as his legacy, but also misperceptions and myths that are circulating regarding the Nation of Islam and specifically the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This episode is dense with information, so I will be sure to include in the show notes the links to CROE's website and also the days and times that the Munir Muhammad Show and Muhammad and Friends are streaming live. In the meantime, enjoy the show. We are live, so welcome to the Nurah Speaks audience. We have with us Brother Munir Muhammad, who is the co-founder of CROE. CROE is the Coalition for the Remembrance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm impressed. I'm used to doing it the other way.
Yes.
You turn the tables on me.
Yes.
Thank you.
So do you want to tell the audience about CROE?
I do, because I find that no matter how redundant you are, there's someone who just might not know and really want to know. CROE is a labor of love that started nearly 32 years ago. And there was an idea to preserve history as I knew it at the time and remove so many of these myths and outright lies. Really, I was angry, and I wanted people to know what I knew about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and these were not lies. So that's how CROE started, and I wanted to get some support. So I didn't want Muslims because Muslims seem to have been a part of the problem. They were allowing it, and we were allowing it. And nobody thought it was necessary. It's being taken care of. You don't need to involve yourself in that. So I just wanted to get people who the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had affected in some way, whether they knew it or didn't know it. And so that meant friends that I had. And thank God for the gift of friends, or what appeared to be friends. I was always socially inclined. I was not shy or bashful. I knew a lot of people and was happy that I knew a lot of people, so I would talk to them. So whatever I had of information that I thought was good, or sometimes even bad, I shared with people. And that's something that I found to become, in life, I found it was a talent, not a liability. Because quite frankly, sometimes, when I learn something, a person may tell me, I said, well, what took you so long? You didn't think that was important? How could you suppress that? I go in this tantrum, and they didn't understand. But I'm saying, what we could have done with this, if I could have, would have, should have. So I meant it in a sweet way. But they didn't always understand it because many people took me literally for everything I said. They never saw it in allegory, and which was unfortunate for them,
So CROE is a coalition
for the remembrance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, a labor of love that we tell the story of the messenger. Sometimes we don't even have to open our mouth if you come into our facility, because it speaks to you about how we feel about this special man.
Right, and it's in Chicago.
It's in Chicago, and I like to say the whole earth becomes the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because the more we learn about him, sister, the more we realize how effective he's been. The pockets of people, I remember that man. So it's fastly becoming worldwide.
So CROE is over 30 years old.
Over 30.
And you're going to be having a Founders Day coming up this March?
Yeah, the first week in March. Actually, it's March the 4th now. We have a time, our traditional 5:30, and March the 4th. Yeah.
Okay. In Chicago. Can you want to give the address?
Yeah, 24. I forget, this is radio, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
2435 West 71st Street, Chicago 60629, just in case you can't come and you want to send a donation.
Right. Yeah. And I'll make sure to include this information in the show notes where they can find you online, your address, and also the date of the Founders Day. It's a wonderful event. I went last year. It was my first Founders Day. And you packed the house. I mean, there in Chicago, it was the who's who of elected office, social, political. You draw quite the crowd.
You know, and many times you take those things because you're in the moment. You know how it is when you are planning things and you're working and someone have to kind of relax you to make you kind of wind down, you know? Well, I can't have the time I would like because there's so many people you got to attend to.
Right.
Everybody's a star.
Yes.
And that's the way we want.
Well, everybody is a star. I mean, you literally had actors, male and female. You had political bosses there. You had judges, and the clerk of Cook County was there. So everybody literally is a star.
The president of the county board as well.
Yes.
You know, and I like that. I love the way that people interact with them. But even some of my people have begun to take it for granted. And because this routine, and I can recall, and I always tell the story with Mandine, because he has seen everybody I've seen. And they wanted to interview him once. And the person was trying to pull it out. And she said, "You must be fascinated with all the stars." And Mandine's personality never changed because it was routine to him. But the person thought he was just being a snob. But this is what he was saying. Hey.
And Brother Mandine is the young man.
Mandine is our assistant who actually runs the office in our absence. So we look at Mandine as the one who grew up with us. We took him as a young man, and he personally travels with me when others may not. So wherever I am in the world, 9 times out of 10, only lately that he's began to relent to try to make room for other people, but they never get the bite, you know?
Yeah.
And some of the ones would say, "Well, I can't use the camera," and they don't try to use the camera. You know?
Right.
But now, Mandine is, he knows how to do what's necessary, things that I might miss, he's not going to miss. And whereas others that I bring, they don't miss it intentionally.
Right.
They just don't have it.
They don't have the eye for it.
Right.
Yeah. Brother Mandine, I have this. I'm happy that he's started opened his business, Legacy Men's Boutique, and I look forward to having him on the podcast as well at a later date to talk about that, because that's one of the things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us is enterprise, entrepreneurship, and doing for self, and supporting black business and developing a black economic base. So here you're in Camden. We're at the Camden County Conference Center, and we are showing the film The Nation, written and directed by our good brother Junie Smith, who is also here in the building.
Who just let you know he was one of your secret admirers.
Yeah. So what does it mean to you for Brother Junie to come down from New York? You're flying in from Chicago, and we have this audience here from Camden to watch this film of The Nation.
Let me tell you what it means to me, because I was a little, I had a little fear yesterday, the negative talk that I was in, because I couldn't believe it. People said 2 or 3 inches of snow and the whole world was going to shut down.
Right.
Things that we get routinely in Chicago. And I left a place trying to avoid the snow. And I was kind of hurt last night, I'll be honest with you. But God blessed us. I didn't see any snow on the ground. I found myself watching the news channel, and they were talking more about the South.
Right.
And then they said, well, but if you're in New York, you're going to get it. And to come here, after all of the difficulty for Junie to make it, because he went to the wrong place, and I said on camera, but he called me this morning and said, I'm in the car. He was excited.
Oh, good.
I feel good because he's one of the best friends that I have, and we just recently became acquainted. I had to go find him, and I hated that we didn't give him the attention that we should have given him 25 years ago. But they said they will serve no wine before it's time.
Yes.
So God blessed us to hook up, and when I took him to see the minister,
Minister Farrakhan.
Yeah, Minister Farrakhan. He was impressed about that, but he also was pleased that he finally had gotten a chance to get an audience, because he did the movie as a labor of love
25 years ago.
25 years ago. And then, so God blessed me to find the actors that were involved, and I just happened to find some nice people. Harry Lennox helped me to do it, and people would have thought me and Harry would have collaborated to do a movie, which we probably would have done in the future, but these guys had already done it.
Right.
And I am so impressed with them. See, even if you didn't like the movie, the love that they showed for the nation and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is overwhelming. And to be from New York,
Right.
because that's normally
Malcolm X territory.
Yeah. Oh, man, I love Junie like a brother.
Yeah, when I was talking to him there briefly, I was telling him that the dialogue is so concentrated. And so the audience is getting the history of the Nation of Islam in a very concentrated fashion,
Right.
just listening to the exchange in the actors, that's the dialogue that's written into the movie. So how did you come to know of the movie?
Well, they sent it to me 25 years ago. See, even though we were just started. See, that's what I'm saying. Just as you use the language that you use explaining to Junie, and I bet he just ate that up. That's a screenplay down with him, because he's just that gifted. But it's so beautiful that you could use that kind of language. Well, I had a reputation. Even see, and this is what I'm learning, even about myself. And I say this, I say all praise is due to Allah, because even though in our infancy state, I just thought people were just trying to avoid us so much because they hate the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is true. But, the fear of God comes on them too, because that's our reputation. We're relentless. We like that pit bull.
Right.
Or that hyena. The hyenas, they going to get their prey, they laugh and stuff, but they really coming. And so that's the way we were if it was 2 o'clock in the morning and we heard something negative on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we was on the air.
Yes.
And we were calling to let them know that's over. There's no more of that. We don't care who you are. And don't tell us about this one or that one. That's how so many people begin to get confused. They thought we were anti-Farrakhan. We've never been anti-Farrakhan. When he was brought from New York, I like to tell people, they just don't know. I was honored that he came from New York, but it was a demotion for him.
He came from New York to Chicago.
Yeah, Wallace brought him as punishment.
Okay.
But it was like a remarkable thing for me. I said, yeah, bring him on. We really going to get moving. Because, it's sort of like one of the basketball players said, like LeBron said when he got Dwayne Wade or somebody, that we could really make this thing work. Well, that's what I felt.
Yes.
And, man, but they thought that because I said I don't love nothing like I love the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, people couldn't see that. And see, even I wanted my own wife, who I think understood, but I have so many problems from other people. He loved the messenger more than he loved his own wife, because I had once said, they was talking about his domestic life. I said, if he had wanted, he could have had mine. See, but they don't understand God come between a man and his heart.
That's right.
And the messenger of God, the only other man that I've come to know that has been able to do that. And so it's serious with me, even though I may be flawed, but I can't let you see him in that way. And so I say things many times as shock value to people, because of course you love your family and you want to see them do well and all, but I know one thing, the messenger of God, he can't betray me.
Right.
Under no circumstances, he's gone, and everything he brought for me was life.
So you said earlier that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is hated. And for the audience who may not know the history, a lot of people think that they know. I have a coworker who I talked to, and he was asking me questions about Malcolm and Betty Shabazz. And it's interesting that they ask in a question what they think they know to be the truth, but a lot of people are really misled, confused, and have misperceptions of the Nation of Islam. So in your opinion, and based on your history, why do you think that people are in such hatred of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
I think that Caucasian has done such a good job. I hate to give him credit for that, but he has been on his job. And to show you, they do the same thing with Farrakhan, but not as intense. They do it differently with Farrakhan because they use him. They'll talk about him, but they say things like anti-Semitic. They didn't even want to bring up Elijah's name. They didn't want to take a chance. And so, and Farrakhan commands that kind of attention to a degree. But when you think about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they had written about him years in advance. And early on, now look at this, in the 50s, and you said, if it were not for this little man, we would have had a glorious future. These are white people.
Saying that.
Yeah, who are known killers.
Right.
If anything they know how to do is they know how to kill. You don't have to worry about that. But they were afraid of it. They said, we don't want to stir up the natives. Just let me show you something. Trump just talked about Jerusalem. I've been to Jerusalem, and I've been to Tel Aviv, where the Knesset is. But the Jerusalem is sacred to the Muslims, Christians, and the Jewish community. Now, but the Jews said that's all they're going to do is throw rocks. They may be riled up.
Right.
But they ain't going to do nothing. We'll put it down as soon as it's said. This is what they told Trump. So Trump said, okay, they argue for a few days, and they go back to being who they are. Otherwise, we're not going to just use rubber bullets. We're going to kill them. Right. Well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't worry about anybody killing him. So they said, he's not the same.
Right, he's different.
Yeah, they said, listen, we just got to wait until he dies. And what we do, out of sight, out of mind, and by the time they wake up, and remember, we took 64 years from them anyway. Right. So if they start thinking, we'll see some remnants of that, and we have a little advance notice. Man, this man is something. So that grip on us, we don't even bring him up, and then if we do, we be so angry that he was even brought up. Everything started for you and I in 1960. Right. The civil rights, you don't have nothing before then. Right. Well, isn't that sad?
Well, that's true. When we study history in elementary school and even in college, they do talk about, they highlight the civil rights movement that's in the 60s, and they may touch on the Nation of Islam by way of Malcolm X. But essentially, they completely ignore the history 30 years prior to that.
Being a trained person, I guess I should ask you. And I mean, when you really stop and think about it like this, you really don't want to believe that. But it is true. Yes. They buried it. Look at page, I think around 183, 185, which says, every avenue of light has been blocked from coming to the slave. It says the capacity of light has been extinguished. He's been reduced to the beast of the field. This means that he's not a thinking person. He's instinct. That's made you an animal.
So for those who are listening in the audience who are becoming intrigued with what you're sharing, and as a teacher would explain, share with the audience
where they can get it from.
Well, no. Share with the audience why it would be in the interest of Caucasian people to bury the history of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
If they were human beings to the extent of the way that it should be, you could be shot. But in order to protect their interests in all the killing that they've done with us and the Indians and anybody else that got in their way, you don't want to be reminded this is the people who dropped an atomic bomb on the people and then smile in their face now and say, we're going to protect you. Right. And the United States reputation. Yes. These are killers. And people don't want to hear. I was on the elevator, and, because I was that cheering for the Navy or the Army, because they're going to have a football game, but I saw their behavior last night in the drinking and stuff. Prepared, but I know what's going to happen at the game. My point is, if they can't find somebody to kill in the stadium, they can only wait to go off to war. Now, I'm not making mockery. You say these are the people who protect us in the country. Now, look, they shouldn't have to protect us because we shouldn't be bothering anybody. But it's so much that goes on in America and things that are said that we don't even stop and think about it. These people took your and my life. They took women, pregnant women, cut the baby out. This is what they did to you and I. Kunta Kinte didn't want to be called Toby.
Right.
But before it was over, he submitted.
Yes.
That's our history. They break you and I down. The strongest of us who fight back, you make mockery of him because you say he should have given in. He should have done this. He should, because they make you ashamed even of the strong one.
Right.
Who said, I resist, because he believes it's a resistant devil and he will flee. So it's so much that delights me today, because just the idea of we having a conversation, and I know you got the foundation to receive this.
Yes.
See, that's a blessing. You asked me about how do I feel with Junie and the people, just a few people. When I was talking, the little group on the front row, the little children, I connected with them because they had a nice little smile. I felt so good about that. That was touching there.
Yeah.
I said, if they just like a small piece of the field.
Yes.
But Junie was willing to come down here from New York City, just as he flew into Chicago for the messenger's birthday to do this. I mean, I'm blessed.
Yes.
And to have friends, and like I said, I was telling Brother Minister Wasim, I said, see, everybody don't love you like I do, because they don't know you like I do. They don't understand. So when I'm trying to share things with him, I'm sharing them from a labor of love, but you can't make other people love you who don't know you.
Right.
And I'm just telling you, can't worry about that, And I say all that to say, God don't throw them out in bunches, If he threw them out in bunches, we would have them.
Right.
But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us so well, and that's why I know that my relationship with people is ongoing, because sometimes I receive calls, and when people pick up the phone to call you and they're thinking, they said, it was some impact that you had on them at that time. And that's wonderful. And everybody, they don't see that. But I wanted to shout it from the mountaintop. When I got to teach it, I had to run tell everybody.
Right.
And the beautiful thing about this sister, this brother told me one, he said, man, if you get this, everything you think you want to do for your family. Because I was always talking about my family. And my family came first. I'm talking about my whole family.
Right.
Because that's what was done for me. My brother brought us up, and we were always sharing, And so if I didn't see you doing that, some people say, well, I haven't seen my brother in 30 years. I'm like, what kind of brother did you have?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I was blessed to see my brothers daily or talk to them, you know what I mean? So this is all because of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
So we know CROE to be the archives, the library, the media of the Nation of Islam, and you have not just physical archives in terms of audio of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and video, and you have audio and video of his ministers, including Minister Farrakhan and many others. You have materials like the yearbooks and the books of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but you also produce a Muhammad and Friends and the Munir Muhammad Show. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we're making history. Nothing gives me great pleasure like when I can see the talent of others. One of the things that used to bother me, and I didn't like it because I try to have a strong personality, but I'm serious as a man, and I understand the protection and elevation of a woman. I really do. But I don't think a woman should be dominating a man, and I don't think a woman has to climb a telegram post to show that she's equal.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, yeah, but so sometimes I have problems with people who don't understand me. And that bothers me because I don't want to be known as some male chauvinist. I want to be known as a person that puts the best team on the field. So nothing means more to me than for somebody else to recognize talent like I do. And I've seen this, and sisters not that say that they were perfect, but just the craft of their dialogue, explaining it, the professionalism. I remember my team they go back and forth with each other, and they were, they had a tendency to really function in a way sometimes you'd think they don't like each other. And they always got criticism for each other. And I don't like that, And so I remember an argument that George and Kim was having. He wanted her to do this, do that, and she told him, I'm a professional. And she was right. And I applauded her for that. And it was almost as if her professionalism was being challenged or taken from, and she spoke up for her rights, and I love that. And the reason I bring that up, because I want all of them to treat each other the way I would treat them. And, so sometimes when you know the problem, you should do what you do. But see, we'll do things to think we're affecting the change and literally hurting people that we don't have to hurt. And so people give you that mirror where so-and-so, why don't you do them like this? That kind of thing. So we have that kind of mentality as a people. So a lot of little things we need to straighten out.
Yes. Well, I will say it's definitely going to be straightened out in the work because work cleans it all up.
Yes.
So just to respect your time, I have two final questions for you. The first question is, what do you want your legacy to be?
I heard someone else talking about legacy. Sometime when I'm on what they call a tirade, and I tell them they don't have to moan for me. If I don't make a mistake here tomorrow, it's hard to miss me. And when I say hard to miss me, you're going to have to bring me into conversation when they really get a chance to know me. And I feel that way because ain't nothing more important than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And to be known with him. But I have protected myself in a way to not give it that vain perspective. So no one can accuse me of being over egotistical. I'm comfortable with who I am, but I don't think that I'm arrogant enough to, people try to give me that, because I'm in the mode for teaching, and I don't mind replacements, you know what I mean? Because,
and I see you training them. When I visit Chicago, we have Brother Mandine here, we see Brother Jamil, Sister Akila, and others.
And I love these people. Akila did something for me that others didn't know how to do or refused to do, because I had this policy coming up that, don't let it ever be you being the focus. So you resist accolades, because accolades make you feel uncomfortable. You want someone to fast forward. Let's get past this. Because no matter what they think, you're not that great. You know what I mean? You may be doing something, but this is why I think me and Minister Farrakhan get along privately more, because he shared with me in the presence of another person. And before he knew it, he said, well, Brother Munir loved the Honorable Elijah Muhammad more than he loved me. And so the reason that I'm dealing with you is because of him. But I was trying to figure out, why did he say that? And, but he wanted me to know he understood, because, everybody always say, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. It's not that I don't think he's honorable, but it's always been reserved
for the messenger.
And I can't get myself to do this. And I told him one day, And I told him because I was saying, I said, brother, and I love you, and you are an honorable man. But I just want you, now he didn't ask me for it, but I felt that if everybody else, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Honorable Minister this, and Munir not doing it, people want to know why. And so I was just explaining just in case he wanted to know,
Right.
and without even telling me. And sometimes you want people to tell you things.
Right, yes.
And so I told him.
Okay, so my final question is, when I talk to people, I encourage them, don't just join the movement, but be the movement.
Yeah.
So in their lifestyle, how they live, how they interact with their community, how they interact with their family, to be the change that they want to see in the world, be the change that they want to see in other people. So how would you advise the listeners to be the movement?
To be the what?
To be the movement.
How would it? Okay. In fact, it may not seem like to you, but to me that's a challenging question, and I'll tell you why. See, I learned also in the barbershop a lesson the other day. Why it's so difficult for me to teach young people today how they could take me and move on. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not in the time. I'm a step behind or maybe a step ahead, but never in sync. Your brother Mark in the barbershop was telling me about Malcolm, the movie he'd been watching for 12 years. And he said, I don't believe it all, but that's all he kept talking about. And so I was just touching him up,
Right.
because I was convinced I needed to teach him. And I know teachers in that room had already tried, but they weren't effective for what he needed. And I wanted to give him a mirror in front of them, so maybe he may say, well, I took these guys for granted. But it's like the messenger said, I don't like to come into a man's home, and but I was invited.
Right.
You understand?
Right. Right.
So I was invited.
Right.
So I decided to take this guy from everybody who was in there, and so if that's being the movement, sometimes you do that,
Right.
and sometimes you know when to fold them. And sometimes I deliberately won't say anything because I know that's what's expected.
Right.
And people are trying to get you to do
Get
something.
you there.
Yeah. And I've seen that many times. And so you asked me a tough question, which I'm going to find it difficult to answer you because, the circumstance. You got to be able to see the whole field. There's a lot up on this table, but there's a lot of room for more.
Right.
Do you kill it right then, or do you expand it? Give somebody else an opportunity. And I'm telling you, just like what you do, and I think you know the answers to many of the questions that you ask. And because, sometimes they selfish questions, and selfish, when I say selfish, mean you know how you responded to that yourself before.
Right.
But let's put it like this. We're on the same team. We want success for our people.
Right.
And this is our start here to do this. Yeah, you interviewed me. In this sense, you're doing what I think God has gifted you to do. And you're going to do more because you got time. And I admire, and I have to say this and I with respect, I admire the person who permits this without any wrangling, because it can be difficult. And anybody that say, because I think sometimes, I love my daughter. I'm her dad. And I was telling her daughter this the other day, because her daughter and I are having this dialogue. She told me, Granddaddy, they don't like my personality, but I like my personality, And she talks such an adult, sometimes she'll tell me, well, the conversation we had, Dad, Granddad, could we have another adult conversation? And I think about my little baby. She don't want to be my baby no more. But when she was young, all the things that I taught her, and she would ride around with me. You know, I get sentimental because I just reflected on that. And I know if I do it, she have to do it.
Right.
But she want to be so strong to resist her daddy, like she told me Munir Muhammad didn't sit in the classroom with me. See, that's what, you even asked me about my legacy. My legacy is clear in my children, whether they want to or not.
Right.
I don't have to be there. And sometimes it's painful to learn that they got to become you in their own way, or the way they do it, but they have you. Because I deal with my daddy every day, and I didn't know him but 18 years.
Right.
And I love him to death, and I testify for him, how brilliant he really, really, truly was. You know what I mean?
Yes. So, Brother Munir, I thank you for the time that you've given me and the Nurah Speaks podcast listening audience. Is there anything else you want to say in conclusion?
Well, I'm just happy for you, because if anybody needs to be sharing with our people, that think it's you. You have the personality, and you know, I wish I had. You know, as I say, I'm comfortable with me. Sometimes, you know, I wish that I could be more congenial. You know, but see, you don't have that white folks laugh. You know, the white people when they see, no matter what, the first thing they do. Where did they get that from? Tradition?
I don't know.
You never inquired about it?
I don't know. Never asked.
You wouldn't find yourself asking about
I wouldn't.
nothing like that. Okay, but I just want you to continue to do well and interview all the people that you need to interview and touch the world, because you affect people. And as I say, Junie showed me, and anybody who see you, it reminds me of Rita. Like, sometimes Rita called me, and I'd be so happy to talk to her, because she just bring class,
Yes.
you know.
Rita
and,
Gale, formerly of the BBC.
Yes, she does. And she said that she just one day said, well, Brother Munir wasn't going anywhere. I just got tired of the noise.
Yes. Well, Brother Munir, let's let the audience know where they can find you. So every Wednesday, we can see you on Muhammad and Friends.
That's right. Every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. I look forward to that show.
6:30 Central Time, 7:30 Eastern.
7:30 Central Time. And on Sundays at 2:30 Central Time.
Okay, and 3:30 Eastern.
So when are you going to start streaming live, I should ask?
Well, I think that'll be coming up in the works, Brother Munir.
But have you, because you know how to do it on Facebook.
Yes, I can do it on Facebook. I can stream live on Facebook and also via Blog Talk Radio.
How do you get people to subscribe to your channel?
Well, they can go to the website, Blog Talk Radio. They can subscribe to Nurah Speaks podcast there. They can subscribe to the Nurah Speaks podcast via TuneIn, the TuneIn radio app, and also on Stitcher.
Oh, on the TuneIn?
Yes,
I have a TuneIn app. That's how I get the radio.
Well, you can also find me on there, the Nurah Speaks podcast.
And what nights do you want?
Well, I broadcast. I broadcast. No, I don't broadcast. I upload my podcast each week. I just uploaded one yesterday, which was Friday. So my latest.
But do you do it every Friday or every?
Yes, every week.
It's going to be. But that
Friday,
particular day.
Yes, unless I do one sooner than that, because I have a lot of content and to get out. So I might be too impatient to wait.
Oh, because you be excited about it too.
I'm very excited about it.
No, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this to you. If anybody can do it, it's you. I'd like to see you stretch, but do I have to be there with you?
No.
Yeah.
We have the capacity to do this interview over Skype or even over the telephone, where we can record it that way.
Well, you all have the best Skyping until recently, because I lost a minister the other day.
Oh, okay.
And he normally is pretty good at Skyping.
Yeah, we usually don't have any problems Skyping.
Yeah. Well, look, I guess it's better than cooking.
Thank you so much, Brother Munir, for being my guest.
All right, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
We were brought here as a piece of property. And to keep that piece of property, it is to not allow the property to know the value of the property. And what I mean by that, if you had known the history of yourself, you would not have been made a slave. And you won't be a slave now if you have a knowledge of yourself. It's hard to enslave a person that have equal knowledge with you. You just can't do it. And so this knowledge of yourself is the thing that will free you from what you have been suffering from.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Nurah Speaks. Look out for a new episode coming at you fresh next week. And if you want to learn more about me and the work that I do, you can visit my website, NurahSpeaks.com. Or if you have a listener question, you can email me at Nurah@NurahSpeaks.com. Follow Nurah Speaks on X, Instagram, and Facebook at Nurah Speaks, or you can subscribe to the Nurah Speaks YouTube channel. I will be sure to include links in the show notes. If Nurah Speaks has value to you, please subscribe, rate, and review, and share with family and friends. And be sure to check out previous episodes. And remember, don't just join the movement, be the movement. Stay in peace.